Hey, good morning, Afrika Bambaataa. How you doing this morning?
Peace.
Peace.
Everything's good.
Okay, great. Ready to go?
Yes,
All
sir.
right. So hip hop is celebrating its 40th birthday, and Zulu is celebrating its 41st birthday. Um, that obviously is the purpose of the event that's going to be held coming up here this weekend. First question I have for you is Zulu. It looks like it's Zulu's 41st birthday. So Zulu is actually older than hip hop culture. So what would be the point of origin for both of them?
Well, Universal ZULU Nation is older than the name itself of hip hop culture. We was doing this for many years before they had a name. We was doing the do, as James Brown said. And so, if you want to, start adding from when we was doing the do, then of course, when we made it a culture, it would be older. But since the Zulu Nation predated that name, yes, it's older under that name of
Oh,
hip hop as a culture.
okay. So a lot of
Remember, hip hop has always been here with different forms of rap that was going through the different ages of time. From Cab Calloway to the Hottie Hottie Ho to Ellis Fitzgerald with the scat rap to the dozens that we used to play in the streets to the nursery rhymes and to Muhammad Ali and Dolomite and Blowfly and Millie Jackson and Shirley Ellis with the Name Game, the Clapper song, all the way up to Picnic Markham, Here Comes the Judge, to the style that we use today, or what he used back then when he did that record, Here Comes the Judge.
Okay, so
Forget about the last poets and Gil Scott Heron and all those kind of people too.
rest in peace. And if were there any radio personalities back in New York in the 60s and 70s that you guys were listening to who inspired and influenced the first generation of DJs in the hip hop culture?
Well, definitely got to give it up to Gary Bird with the GBE experience, who was on WWRL as well as WLIB. And then you got also the other great Frankie Crocker, and you got cousin Brucey that was WABC, and you had Hal Davis, who also used to do the big Palisade amusement park events outside that he was doing. You got Jocko, they used to be down south. They did a whole lot of things. So, there's a lot of radio personality jocks who also kept it real with the soul and the R&B and the funk.
But Hank Span too, right?
Oh, Hank Span, I mean, the list could go on. What's his name? Ramos, Linda Ramos, who was also on WBLS when they started getting on FM station, because, all the stations used to be AM at first. Then once the FM came in, everybody started switching to FM.
Okay, so a lot of people said that hip hop wouldn't last, and others even continue to say that hip hop's dead. So if you go back to that time when hip hop was first termed culturally as a word, and put yourself in that moment, that you realized the significance of what hip hop culture was, did you ever think that you'd be sitting here right now looking at a 40th birthday for hip hop?
Well, due to Universal ZULU Nation and many of the people that was a part of it, we made sure that it was going to definitely last with what we was doing. We didn't care what so-called R&B radio stations would say, or because those was the ones that was really giving more of the harder times of trying to get airplay or trying to get DJs on the station. So really our own was trying to stop our movement, whereas many others was opening up to it. So we decided we're going to do what we're doing. We didn't care what anybody say. And yes, we started traveling through the tri-state area. We started using our cassettes like albums to send it to your cousins, your friends, and everybody. So people started hearing it in other cities and states. And then as we started getting to the industry, once the Sugar Hill and Fat Back Band and all that started making recordings, then that's when we started moving from town to town, city to city, country to country to build our culture and bring the ideology of this culture to many other people of the planet.
Okay, so how would you describe hip hop through your eyes?
Well, hip hop is a movement, is a culture, is a feeling. Most people, when they hear the word hip hop, they automatically think of the rapper, but they forget about the DJs, the MCs, the aerosol graffiti writers, the b-boys, the b-girls, and that fifth element that holds it all together, which is really like the first, is the knowledge. Because without the knowledge, you won't be able to b-boy, you won't be able to MC or hold your breath or know when to let them lyrics out. You wouldn't be able to DJ, knowing to be on the cue and everything, because you might mess your fingers up and get cramps and all type of stuff. So the knowledge is very important.
Okay. Now, I truly believe in order to have fundamental strength in a culture, that a solid and commonly agreed upon origin has to be established. And if you go look out on Wikipedia, there's a lot of conflicting controversies, especially with histories and origins to hip hop. And there's a story that needs to be cleared up, and it seems like there's contradicting elements in those stories, which are stating that different people coined the term hip hop. So, what's your stance on the origin of the term hip hop, and what was the contributing angle with those in which are being accredited, such as Cowboy Wiggins, and then the angle that's being accredited to Lovebug Starsky?
Well, both of them is both an equal share. Cowboy has the word when he was using it, his cliches of rap, hip hop, and so was Lovebug Starsky. So they both really from the same family. A lot of us come from the black space. So you know, myself, Disco King Mario, Lovebug Starsky, Cowboy was mixed with us from way back then. But we give credit with them that's using the words, but when it came to name the culture, it comes to myself and the University ZULU Nation that we took from their cliche that he was doing in the raps. When they came to ask for what we call it, we could have said, this is the boy line, this is the go off, this is the get down, this is hippity bebop. So when I said, you know, I took from them, I said, you know, we call this hip hop because it's hip. It makes you move something because it's happening now, and then you got to hop to it, so you got to groove and dance to what we going down with the beats in the groove. Okay. So there was no such thing as elements. There was no such thing as a culture until the University ZULU Nation formulated all of it and said, come on, B-boys, DJs, MCs, all this. You know, this is a culture. We call them this hip-hop, and these are elements called hip-hop. Because if you look back on all history of that, you don't see nobody ever talk about no elements, and this was a culture until you get to the foundation of the University ZULU Nation.
Okay, so the elements were there, but then they weren't
Wikipedia, before Wikipedia, people shouldn't trust on Wikipedia because anybody can write anything, change up, switch up, put other stuff up on Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a people's encyclopedia that anybody can add on to or take away from, and that's why it's so much controversy. So it definitely needs to be more research because it's like a tree with different roots and branches. You got your architectures of hip hop, and from them the branches from the roots leads out to many different stories that led up to hip hop. Even before the hip hop, you know, you had your disco era, you had your R&B DJs, and before that you had your soul bands and everything that used to come to the community. So it's a big, diverse history.
Okay. So as far as the elements go, the elements were here. So for example, I know I just did the 4th annual OG barbecue out here in Oakland, and their brothers like Boogaloo Worm and OG Boogaloo Dan and Boogaloo Dana and John Murphy and a lot of these folks, they were dancing back in the 60s and early 70s before breakdancing and b-boying, but also we know that that's contributed to the b-boy culture. So the elements, the predecessors were here, but when was it that the elements of hip-hop were established officially within hip-hop culture via the ZULU Nation?
That was in 1974 when we decided to build it all up as a culture. So you had everybody dance. You could go from people doing their thing from Soul Train. You could go to the Demon Mines that was over there in San Francisco, and like you say, what you had over there in Oakland, and then what we had on the East Coast. It's just black and wherever else we was at all over the planet in us. So anywhere we was at, we always creating and making things happen. So when we decided to call on the East Coast and pull it all together under a cultural movement, that's when the whole thing of hip hop started moving north.
Okay. So what was it? Where did the element idea come from? How did that get infused into the culture? That had to also have been brought from somewhere, since hip hop is kind of an amalgamation of different things that come together to form the culture.
Right. That's when I started pulling people together. You know, telling the B-boys, come on, get down with this. We got this thing called the ZULU Nation movement, and you need to get part of this thing called hip hop. And you know, a lot of B-boys started coming, the graffiti writers, the DJs, the MCs, and that's birthed the culture. Because otherwise, everything would have been separated. Just, you know, B-boys and B-girls were just doing their thing. You had graffiti artists who've been around for ages doing their thing. So I started thinking like, yo, we put all this together and make a movement. You know, because I always, that comes from, hearing great teachers like the Honorable Marcus Garvey, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and the Moorish Science Temple, the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, Malcolm, Dr. Malachi York, and the Ansar Allah community, the Martin Luther Kings, the Black Panther Party, the Young Lords, and that's when we decided we need to put all this together, the same like all the formation of all our other great families was doing in the struggles of civil rights and human rights.
Okay, all right. So, as far as the upcoming event for the celebration, where can individuals go to be a part of witness this historic event if they're not in New York City? Is it being filmed? Are you guys doing a documentary or a DVD or something on it?
Well, there's usually people that be filming. There's definitely be a lot of posts being up on all that social media and YouTubes and all that. So there's definitely be people filming and making things happen. And we are doing a documentary of the Universal Zulu Nation that's being worked on now, and eventually end up doing something that lead back to the Black Spades street organization.
Okay, so are you actually going to be performing at this as well?
Yeah, I'll be DJing, getting down, playing some of that good old funky music, funky breaks, funky soul, R&B, salsa, whatever's funky that make people dance.
You already
dance to the music like Blind Family Stone says.
You already know what you're gonna spin?
Well, I never really know what I'm gonna spin. When I get there, I get the vibration of people, and we go down. We also pay tribute to the King of Soul, not the Godfather. So we got to get him back to his original status, because you ain't gonna call Elvis Presley the Godfather of rock and all that type of stuff. So we give tribute to the King of Soul, James Brown, to the great, wonderful Sly and the Family Stone, to the magnificent George Parliament Funkadelic Clinton, and to our other brother, the Honorable Bootsy, along with all the pioneers of hip-hop culture all over the earth.
Okay, and all right, I thank you very much for your time, Afrika Bambaataa, and thank you for the interview, and I'll go ahead and get this over to Al. You have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, sir.
Yes, sir. Peace and honor to you.
Peace and honor to you.